right, Brew House, let's get excited for your next performer coming to stage. Start clapping it up for Drew, everybody.
Gotta be considerate. How are we doing tonight, Brew House? I've noticed I am dressed very well for the state in which I live in. But I like it. And yes, I am single. Today is Valentine's Day. And no, I am not available, ladies, so please don't try. I thought that one would have went over a little bit better, but it's okay. Today is Valentine's Day, is it not?
Yes.
Nada. Got a great audience there and an even better one out there. There we go. Last week, you had the pleasure, if you were here, of me making jokes about my autism spectrum disorder. Today, no, not so much. I don't know. 3 years ago, at the end of next month, I met the most amazing woman I've ever seen. I could very well be wrong, but I might not be. And she, it motivated me to find a job and, get my ass out of bed at a reasonable hour. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, get on my socks and stuff and go to work, which has been great. I work with kids. Had no idea that I would love working with kids, but I do. And yesterday, with my fourth graders, of which I was working with, we sewed some hearts together, and we're sending them down to the students and staff down in Parkland. So, if it wasn't for her, I probably would, not be at an amazing job. So, anyway, should probably let her know that the next time that I see her. Hopefully she won't get terribly freaked out by that because we don't even know each other's last names. But still, it's very, very, very sweet. And humans get motivated by very, very, very strange things. Anybody knows the term that love is blind and irrational? It is. Damn it. There we go. I thought about bringing my photograph here tonight and lip-syncing Calendar Girl, but I decided not to. Kind of wish I would have, but it's cool. So you know what? Let's try to finish up last week's list of stuff. And by the way, people who say, you're socially awkward, you have ASD, you're absolutely correct. I'm very socially awkward. Sometimes my students ask me, Mr. Drew, and I say yes. Is there a reason why you involuntarily roll your eyes back into your head when you talk like the Undertaker? Because I used to work at the Haunted Mansion, and I used to tell people to go into that room. Here we go. Why do most people, how long does an Aspie last in the room? Well, that depends on the resource depletion. Might last the whole day, but very unlikely. Why does the person flap his hands like crazy? It's because he's autistic. When I came up here last week, I came up, like this, and that's something I've not done in a long time. People say, I've never would have thought that you had it, Drew, unless you would have told me. When I was in college, my roommate who won a Super Bowl playing for the Patriots, God, him and I smoked a lot of weed every single day for a year. And when people say, weed helps autistic people, I'd say that that's a prime example of me being a prime example, but I don't know, maybe I matured and grew as a person too in that time. But I don't know. I would not recommend you giving your kids weed if you have autistic kids, because they might not respond to it well. There were times when I was doing it where I was scared I wasn't going to come down, And I said, guys, I'm driving myself to the hospital, and they had to take my keys away from my crazy ass. Also, unfortunately, a true story. How many autistics do you need to change the light bulb? One. Any more than that will fail because of awkward. Who are the real nerd gamer girls? Asper girls. Why is that person talking to you scary? He may gossip or attack, and you would never know. What are social rules? I think it's undefined behavior, as quoted by the programmer Autist. What makes an autistic happy? Having a normal day. Asperger. Let's give Indy a hand. Thank you, Indy. There you go, Indy. Dun da dun da dun da da. He's perfectly fine. You guys know people that have this disorder? We have a tendency to have incredible rote memorization, and I'll give you a couple of examples. When I met this girl 3 years ago, we shook hands. It's probably the reason why I haven't washed my right hand in over 3 years, but that's good. And she had on a blue denim shirt and black denim jeans and gold sandals, and it was about noon, maybe 11:30, on the 30th of March of 2016. I'm also, unfortunately, a Miami Dolphins fan, and my memories of the team are extraordinarily ridiculous. My first Dolphins game I ever went to was September 20th of 1992. It was a Sunday, a 4 p.m. kickoff. It was still 93 degrees at kickoff time. It was hot. The game was blacked out on TV, and they made it to the AFC Championship game that year, which kind of tells you how fraudulent our fans are down here anyway, but still. And the Dolphins had on white jerseys and aqua pants, and they won the game 26-10. Later on in that season, I was at a playoff game against the Chargers, where the Dolphins won 31-0 in the rain and advanced to the AFC Championship game. The following week, is that my light? Okay. The following week, the Dolphins would lose to the Bills at home 29-10. Wearing white jerseys and aqua pants, Jenga. Mark Duper. That would be January 17th of 1993, the game of which I'm currently telling you about. Not that that's very relevant, but... Mark Duper had a 27-yard touchdown catch, and I told him that when he saw me at the Dolphins-Jags game, and he said, I've seen you perform your comedy before, and you're funny. And I said, yeah, well, it depends. You guys have a good evening now. Happy Valentine's Day.
One more time for Drew, everybody. Clap it up for him. You know, Drew, if you haven't washed your hand in 3 years, that might be why you got a cold. Like, I don't... just a thought.